What's up guys, Houndish here, and today we're going to take a closer look at a bunch of the weapons which have been previewed by Bungie in the upcoming expansion Lightfall and Season of Defiance. And so we'll touch on the Neomuna legendary weapons, but also some new perks and buffs to look out for on some archetypes. And additionally we'll cover the Season 20 ritual weapon, the new season weapon pool, as well as Lightfall exotics including a hidden exotic bow, a mystery weapon, and a bunch of gameplay of the exotics which have been revealed. And so guys, as always, I hope you enjoy this one, and if you do, be sure to get subscribed to the channel, as we'll have a lot of Lightfall content to cover. But otherwise, let's get into it. And so the first thing we're going to touch about right here is a new ritual weapon that we can look forward to in Season of Defiance. And so we're getting the first ritual glaive, and Bungie say this is called Ecliptic Distaff. It's going to be a void glaive. And while they don't give us details on what the perks do, they've told us that the perks will be called Replenishing Aegis, but it also has one called Destabilizing Rounds. Certainly be interesting to check those out. Potentially, there could be elemental perks of some sort. But as always, being a ritual weapon, it will have a base skin, and this matches the Season of Defiance weapons we've seen, which all appear to have a pretty similar shader. And on top of that, they preview the ornament for the Vanguard, Gambit, and the Crucible, so looks like it'll be a pretty cool weapon, and we'll see what it's like when the season begins. Up next though, let's speak briefly about the Neomuna weapons. So this is the new legendary loot pool for the destination in Lightfall, and players did point out that these are very similar models to the moon weapons from back in Shadowkeep. And there are a few different ones that we've seen. Initially, there's a new Stasis SMG right here. And the developers demonstrated a clip where the player grappled to a bunch of enemies, performed a grapple punch to take them out, and that granted the weapon Unravel projectiles. And that's one of the new keyword debuffs for Strand. And Bungie said attacking an enemy affected with Unravel will cause bursts of threads to come out and attack nearby enemies. And when these enemies are hit, they will also become unraveled. So it's cool that both the element, but also some of the perks on these weapons are going to interact pretty closely with Strand's keywords. Also for the Neomuna set of weapons though, Bungie showed off a heavy grenade launcher, and this is going to be a stasis launcher. Of course we should bear in mind that heavy grenade launchers are getting a buff. Bungie have increased the damage of them versus champions, mini-bosses, and vehicles by 20%, with damage to miners being increased by 40%. They're also making it easier to land hits, and generically increasing blast radius, so that's going to be worth bearing in mind on any grenade launchers in Lightfall. We've also got a little bit of gameplay of a new fusion rifle in the expansion. This is an arc fusion rifle. Looks like it's in one of the heavier hitting archetypes as well, based on the rate of fire. But of course, through some of the icons and stuff, we also know that we're going to be getting a new shotgun as part of that set, as well as a heavy machine gun. And that machine gun has been previewed with a couple of interesting perks. So Circular Logic right here is listed as having ricochet rounds, offhand strike, and the new perk called Hatchling. That's potentially going to be a Strand related perk, as this is also a Strand weapon. Right here we can also see another perk name, which is Nanotech Tracer Rockets. Bear in mind that is on the machine gun, so actually sounds pretty similar to the Colony's nanorobots, but maybe behaves a little bit like Quicksilver Storm does when it gets the bonus tracking rockets. It's going to be interesting to check that out, but machine guns is another one we should bear in mind are going to see some changes in Lightfall. And they're reducing time to kill inside of PvP. It also looks like that will affect damage in PvE. And they've said that they're increasing reserve ammo by 50% at 0 inventory stat and 20% at 100 inventory stat. So for all machine guns in the game, they are going to get more ammo reserves. Additionally though, of course from the Neomuna set of weapons, we've seen things like the new hand cannon. That's going to be a Strand weapon as well. And I believe also we've spotted a pulse rifle, and of course the sniper rifle, which was from the exotic gear trailer. In terms of weapon crafting in Lightfall though, Bungie have confirmed that Season of Defiance weapons will be craftable, as will the Neomuna world weapons that we've just mentioned. On top of that though, the base raid weapons for the Lightfall raid, a handful of other world weapons, and possibly some hidden stuff as well. Additionally, of course, we have seen a few Season of Defiance weapons. So in one of the loadouts right here, we can see what looks to be an auto rifle, a special grenade launcher, and then a new sword. All of them have that very similar base skin to the new glaive that we'll be able to get as part of the season. And as a side note, this kind of Techian armor that we're going to get looks pretty cool as well. Plus it looks like we'll get a legendary bow for Season of Defiance, and I'm sure a handful of other weapons. Here though, let's speak a little bit about exotics. And this isn't one that Bungie have outlined specifically in any of their videos, but we do spot a Titan right here holding what appears to be a stasis bow. Of course, it's a very ornate thing, so the assumption would be that this is an exotic. And funnily enough, Bungie also teased a triumph in some of the gameplay to the new Guardian ranks, and this is Verglas Curve, which requires us to defeat targets with the exotic bow Verglas Curve. And so given this wasn't actually revealed in the exotic trailer specifically, I guess it stands to reason that the Verglas Curve Love is the name of the exotic bow right here. I hope I'm saying that word correctly. Another interesting item that's been discussed by players though, and was spotted in one of the trailers, but there's a hunter grappling right here that appears to be holding a very interesting new hand cannon type weapon. Of course, there's various different things it could be, but players have speculated, could this be an additional hidden weapon for Lightfall? And that is certainly a possibility, so give us your thoughts below. Other than these though, of course Bungie have revealed exotic weapons via the trailer, and that includes Final Warning. And Bungie devs say this uses futuristic technology to find your enemies. Of course, from the gameplay we've seen, it's pretty similar to the Smart Pistol, if any of you guys remember that from Titanfall. In fact, it behaves in a very similar way indeed. Then there's the new heavy machine gun, the Deterministic Chaos, and every 4th shot it fires will weaken enemies, with every 16th shot it fires making them volatile. That certainly could be pretty fun, and that appears to be pretty similar to one of the weapons that's being held by one of the Cloud Striders right here. Obviously not confirmed, but could be a quest weapon or something like that we gain access to via those characters later in the game. Otherwise though, there is the Winter Bite, and this is a new heavy status glaive, and we'll be able to fire a frost orb that can freeze nearby enemies. So no doubt it's going to be interesting to see how effective that weapon is. For today though guys, that does it for our quick, slightly more in-depth look at some of the weapons Bungie have shown off. Of course there's loads more that we're going to discover, but I thought it would be cool to take a better look at some of the perks, capabilities, potential secrets, buffs, and general new weapon stuff for Lightfall, so I hope you found the video interesting, and if you have, a rating below really does help us out. Let us know what you are most excited for in the upcoming expansion, and keep it locked and loaded right here on the channel. We'll be covering all the major content, news, and important info as we go into this next expansion. Otherwise though, as always, thank you for tuning in, and I hope you guys have an awesome day.
The Warlocks are getting what's called Swarmers. They're these boots that will, on Tangled Destruction, create new threadlings at that location. Now they can either shoot it, or they can pick up a tangle and throw a tangle, and then that will also create threadlings. The hunters are getting this helmet that will help them grapple through the air. As you grapple, you gain this new ability called Woven Mail, and it's reducing the incoming damage except for headshots. The Titans get boots that will augment an aspect that they have. The aspect itself will just send out a wave that will suspend enemies in front of their barricade after casting it, but the boots will split it up into 3 waves. Whenever they spend an enemy with these boots on, they also gain Woven Mail. So pushing the front line further and further by being tanky.
I have been caught by those boots a couple times in our playtest.